The next Minecraft update is shaping up to be a crazy one. And by crazy, I mean crazy good. What is going on, guys? It is Skydie coming at you with another preview of the current Bedrock variety. In today's preview, we basically have an expansion of the last one that we did where we were introduced to the copper golems for the first time. Some more functionality has been added to copper golems, as well as some other stuff that you can see behind me there that we will get to. And I promise at the very end of what I got set up there is some very, very, very cool and useful stuff. But first of all, we're going to start with the copper golems. As you've seen, if you've seen a copper golem before, you can see that they exist in 4 variants. This is the most polished one. This is the most rusted one. If you do not wax your copper golem will rust over time, such is the nature of these copper-based blocks in this game. And if you let your copper golem work and rust and run around too much, this is what will happen to him. He will eventually stop working. He will just be a stagnant statue, which I found out, funnily enough, while setting up this video, that similar to how you can position armor stands while crouching, you can actually do the same to these copper golem statues, which is really funny. You can make him sit, you can make him look like he's walking, you can make him look like he's strung up. These guys can also be picked up and carried around, so theoretically you could put a copper golem in a copper chest and have copper golems move the copper golems if you really, really wanted to. So that's very fun. But what if you have some copper golem statues and you want them to start working again? Well, it's actually very simple. So you can use an axe on these to scrape the stuff off, just like you can with other copper stuff. So if we do that to this guy, he'll start looking a little more like this guy. He's still turned off though. Well, we actually got to scrape him one more time. And he'll wake up. He'll be good. And now he's a fully good copper golem. And if we wax him, he'll stay that way, which is great. Now he just picked up a Totem of Undying, which is the next thing I wanted to go over for functionality, copper golems and stuff. I left one in that chest just so a copper golem would be able to pick it up and I would be able to demonstrate this because it's kind of funny. So for other mobs that can carry items, Totems of Undying will work the same way that they will work for players. If you die with one, it will pop and give you some not death. That now works for copper golems. So if we hit him a little bit, the Totem of Undying is actually going to save him from being disassembled. And if you're wondering what happens if you actually went and killed a copper golem, that is what happens. He becomes pieces. But yeah, that is it for the brand new functionality with the copper golems. Very interesting. It adds a lot of character, I think, to them, as well as some nice little customization. It also means that if you have copper golems in your base sorting all of your stuff, you kind of have to give them an oil change every now and then, so to speak. Like, you gotta... Oh, look at that. They're holding hands. How cute. Basically, you gotta maintenance them, or they will stop working. Or if you don't want to deal with that, just use a honeycomb. Moving on to this board right here. So Mojang has gone and retextured all of the dyes. They're pretty similar to the old ones in some cases, especially the red dye looks a lot like how it does in the current real version of the game. So does the orange, so does the yellow. Blue looks similar. Previously, lime, and these down here were just the one little splotch, and they had the same texture, they were just colored differently. Now, they are textured differently. I do like this change. It adds a little bit of realism. Like, you can see, they're all sitting on little plates, kinda. I kinda like to think of them as wraps, like little wrappers. This is a good change for the same reason that when they updated the ore textures in the Caves and Cliffs update, that was a good change. The reason being that if you're colorblind, obviously you would have a hard time telling the difference between these unless you picked one up and read the name of it. So imagine we're using the old textures for a second. These two dies would look the same. The only way a colorblind person would be able to tell is by the name, and that is no longer the case because all of these dies now have a new and completely unique texture, which is, all things considered, good. That is simply a good change, so good job to Mojang for that. Now we come to the biggest feature in this preview, and quite possibly the biggest feature in this drop when it does finally officially come into the game. It's this crafting recipe right here. 3 stripped logs and 3 stripped logs top and bottom. This is the crafting recipe for a shelf. Ooh, a shelf. Wow, why is that so good, Skydie? It's so good because you can make it in literally any wood variant that exists. Any of these, including bamboo. What are shelves used for? Obviously, they're used for storing stuff. Stupid. This is what they look like, and they actually come with some redstone functionality, which is very cool and interesting. So, this is how they work. One shelf can hold 3 items. We can do that. You can also line up shelves together, so if you have a line of 3 shelves, you will be able to store a full hotbar. And if you want to get your hotbar setting back, just right click or left bumper, whatever you're doing, and you will get all of those items back the same way you had them before. Now, what if we have some items in a shelf and we take away that particular shelf's redstone signal? You can still take that item out. It is just single use though. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, you can use these to display items in your base. You can also use these as sort of a favorites mechanic if you want to look at it that way. In some RPGs, you have builds, and in those builds you have certain equipment that complements them. You can make this the mining shelf, or you can make this the exploring shelf, or a fighting the Ender Dragon shelf, or something like that. If you even have a full hotbar, just walking up to one of these and right-clicking or left bumpering or whatever will give you that shelf's worth of items and replace whatever you have in your hotbar with that shelf. Now, this is going to be useful for a very, very, very wide variety of reasons, including buildings. I'm not the best builder, so I can't talk on this a whole lot, but in a lot of people's buildings, trapdoors seem to be used quite a bit. And by quite a bit, I do mean quite a bit, because trapdoors are the closest thing that we have to vertical slabs. Not anymore after this preview. Again, the shelves can be made in any of these variants, so I'm expecting to see these used a lot in some builds, specifically in exterior design, which is kind of funny. But anyway, moving on. This shelf and this shelf, or I guess these groups of shelves right here, these groups of 3, can hold a hotbar, but that is because they are of the same variety. So if we have this and we power them with redstone, therefore opening them up, it's not going to work the same way. So if you have a single shelf by itself, which in this case these shelves are considered to be, because in order to actually connect them like this, they have to be of the same variety. So these are all pale oak. It works for the whole hotbar. If we take away one of these, it will act on these 6 slots in the hotbar. A single shelf will only act on these 3. If you want to have a full hotbar's shelf's worth of stuff, they have to be of the same variety, or it's just not going to work as intended. Also, you can put shelves in shelves. You can put shelves in shelves. I probably already went over this, but another thing that I'm actively demonstrating with the honeycomb and the redstone torches is that these can hold up to a full stack of one particular item as well. So you can store actually quite a bit on these, which is really cool for display purposes and sorting purposes and storage purposes and a whole lot of other purposes. Now, real quick before I go, I do want to experiment with this a little bit. So I kind of want to see if we can automate the putting stuff on the shelf process a little bit if we use some redstone stuff. Seeing as how these things are obviously associated with redstone in some way, like they need redstone in order to be able to function as desired, right? If we take away these for 2 seconds just to, you know, make our experiment a little more controlled. And let's put 3 items in there. If we use a dispenser, similar to how you can put armor on a villager, I wonder if the dispenser will put the items into the shelf or no. No. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. So it is active because of this redstone torch. Attempt number 2, definitely, okay. Dispensers don't work. My next plan is to use, it would be so cool if this worked. Also, this does not look right at all. There we go. That looks a little better. So if we throw stuff into the hopper, throw the pickaxe into the hopper, that doesn't work. The pickaxe is just chilling in the hopper. So at least as of this preview, you cannot use redstone to automate the shelves and the sorting and everything, really. At least not with a dispenser or a hopper. I just did quickly want to do that little experiment just to see what's going on. That is the whole point of these previews, really, is to be able to play with the features before they are actually, you know, real. This is not the final version of shelves. This is not the final version of any of this stuff. That is definitely worth saying, so. Also, you can put copper golem in shelf, which is kind of funny. You could put, I think you could put like literally any item in a shelf. Grab these. So if we have sugarcane, can I just add the sugarcane on, or will it replace the whole hotbar? It replaces the entire hotbar. Ah, okay. So I guess if we wanted to take certain things off, that's why this redstone functionality exists, to make that actually possible while still making this part easy to do. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense, and I like it. That's good design. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. These shelves are actually huge. I'm super duper excited for these to come into the base game. Because they are going to be very, very, very useful for a very wide variety of reasons. Previews like this definitely get me excited for what's to come. The next update is shaping up to be a very good one, at least in my opinion. So if you want to stay tuned for future Minecraft content, consider hitting that subscribe button, because Minecraft is a game I love to make content on this channel. And with all that out of the way, I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a good one.